Hey, what's up, everybody? Mogi Monster here, and welcome to Why the Fascination, or WTF as I like to call it. Hope everybody's having a good night. Good to see everybody in chat. Wow, right on. Sorry, just get. I was looking at hurricane watches. Apparently, Seven Pearls says hurricane watches have been issued for portions of the northern Gulf Coast. Awesome. Well, you guys be safe out there. But it is hurricane season. This is a new thing for me too. Some of you are old pros. I know Seven Pearl's been through a few of them. I've seen the results. Her garage is no longer due to a bad storm. Off the western tip of Cuba. I'll have to keep an eye on that and pray everybody does all right. So tonight, it's business as usual. Gypsy Road, what's up, buddy? Guys, I'm going to have Gypsy Road come on. I'm going to put that link in chat right now if you want to use that, Gypsy Road. And he's going to tell us a little bit about himself and what why the fascination. So the link is in chat, Gypsy Road, if you want to click on that, and we'll get you on. I'm looking forward to hearing his story. I really had a good time on you guys, your show yesterday. Thank you so much for having me on. Bob, your brother is a trip. It was fun. So thank you very much for having me on. So who do we got here? Well, Seven Pearls, what's up? Hey, Jen, Lockbeard, what's going on? Uncle Bones. I see Mogs is in chat. Right on. Hey, Rex. Lewis, what's up, man? Mr. Lee. Thank you, buddy. I'm looking good, Mogs. I don't know about that. Jeff Harding, what's going on, man? Danny Staton. I keep throwing an N in there. That's like people pronouncing, Mogian like Mongolian. Sorry, brother. It's too funny. Hey, Stacy. Good to see you. I have to scroll back and see who's in chat because it's way ahead of me. Who else? BF Bud, what's going on? All right. I got to go through this quicker. I'm terrible about this. See, now if I was on, like if I split the screen and went on YouTube, split it with YouTube, then I could just pull up a list and it would tell me who was in chat. And I could read it off, but that's like too easy. Like reading it off, I'd rather miss somebody and have them get bent out of shape. And then I apologize later and it's all cool. No, I just like doing it this way. Well, it looks like I got everybody. Right on. So who do we got? 18 here? That means Mark must still be on the air. Excuse me. Oh, no worries, man. Gypsy Roads, give me a few working on a laptop. Yeah, I think I can cover a few minutes, somehow. Yeah, it was a fun show. Bob being in the UK I'm looking at him going, fuck is this guy doing in the UK? But it was cool. And then to find out, I guess he's got a few degrees in, anthropology, or I forget. Don't quote me. Jeff, that's the funniest thing, dude. I thought that same thing today. Yeah. Name popped into my head, and that song popped into my head too. That is so funny. I haven't thought about that song in a while, and it was there today. Wonder Woman, what's up? How you doing, Kathy? Wandering Woman or Wondering Woman? Make up your mind, woman. I'd be wondering, I guess. Yeah. Hey, Robin. Good to see you. Jimbo. Mark Dodman. Good day. How are you? Who else is here? So yeah, hold on.
Hey, how's it going?
What's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Right on, right on. So I was just gonna.
I'm sorry. I do want to apologize in advance if my dogs start barking, just like yesterday. My wife has to come home from work, so I'm watching all the animals.
Right on. No, yeah. Yesterday I was on his show, and my dogs were going nuts. I had to just keep hitting mute every time I wasn't talking. I'm just checking out comments, seeing who's popping in, who I'm missing.
Now you got great people. I'm telling you, I've been watching the chat. I was in the chat before you started, and everybody's wonderful.
Oh, this group is amazing. I couldn't ask, and we're only at 36 people watching right now. We'll probably get twice as many, and everybody's just as cool. Everybody gets along. Everybody just has a wonderful time in this chat.
So, that's the way it should be.
Yeah, man. Never have issues. I have moderators, but do you guys do anything? I mean, no. No, these are great moderators. But they never have to do too much, but it's good to know they're there.
There was a time that my moderators had to do some work.
What's up, Dave Stewart? How's it going? KG.
And just to let you know, just in case, I might be getting a text, and when I get the text, I got to go pick up the wife at the light rail, but probably not for another 25 minutes or so.
Well, I'll be here I got 2 hours. So, why the fascination, man?
Well, I mean, that's a damn good question, right? I mean, what is the fascination? I grew up in California, lived in Fresno, California. Me and my family, our family are hunters. I mean, every year we go in the mountains. We got a place called Poison Meadows. It's basically right before Yosemite National Park, because we know we can't hunt on a national park.
Mm-hmm.
The whole families are hunters, and we've been in mountains our whole life, going up and when you go to the same area over and over again, you learn the area, you learn the sounds, you learn when things aren't normal, when things are out of place. You know what I mean? I mean, you know the deer sounds, you know the bear sounds, certain sounds. I think when not everybody in our family all believed in Bigfoot. There was one person never believed in Bigfoot. So that wasn't like a subject that was really needed to be brought up, because everybody believed in Bigfoot. But I think what happened one time when we truly believed in Bigfoot is when we used to go on hunting, and I was a kid, half the group used to go hunting on foot. And the older people had to drive, right? They couldn't walk as good as the younger people.
Sure.
Well, since I was a kid, I used to be in the vehicle with them during this event. And then there was that certain time of night, right before nighttime, because you're not supposed to hunt at night. It's illegal.
Mm-hmm.
We would meet up with the people on foot, and then we would all drive back to camp. And it was a night that we all got in the vehicles. We're all in the vehicle. And actually, it was awesome because I was the one who actually spotted something out in the woods. I'm like, dude, what is that? And then we couldn't see it. And then, like dumbasses, all the young people all grabbed stuff. I'm talking about whatever they could grab, and they ran out in the woods trying to go chase this thing down. Now, I don't recommend doing that. But, dude, when you're young, you're like, what the hell is it? If you think about it now, we're stupid because what if that thing would attack us or attack the people who got close to them?
Sure.
And I swear to God, I mean, I think I might be embarrassed about this. I think I grabbed the fork because they had the guns, they had the knives. I couldn't find the machete. Somebody grabbed the machete, so I grabbed the fork, and everybody was running down the woods chasing this thing down. And I'm telling you, because the noise it was making, a bear sound. I mean, you kind of know a bear scream, especially if you've been going to mountains. And this scream was a lot higher pitch. It was almost like a female was screaming in a weird way. And everybody was chasing it down the woods, chasing it, and we couldn't catch up. Nobody could catch up. And I'm thinking to myself, what if that was a bear? That thing might have turned around and bite us. Maybe, thank God, if it was Bigfoot, probably would have saved us dumbasses for running after it. And then it was just like, everybody thought it was like around this corner. I remember we all getting around this corner, and the thing was gone. I mean, just like vanished. It was gone. And I'm not saying there was like footprints because there was like broken sticks and all that. But there was nothing there. It was just like vanished in the air. And that was the time, like, I remember we have a uncle, Big John. He's like, see, guys, you never know what's out here. You never know. And he goes, next time you dumbasses run out there something without us going with you, we're going to slap the shit out of you and take all your guns away.
And forks.
Which they were right. But you know what I mean? When you're young, you don't know what this thing is. And I'm telling you, it can't be a bear. There was no way it was a bear because it was too fast. I mean, I don't know. I never tracked a bear. I don't know how fast a bear is, but man, when we kind of saw from the far, and there was no cameras back then. There was like no cell phones. There was nothing. So there was no way.
How old were you?
I was 7.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, I was young. And of course, I wasn't as fast as the other guys. They got up and, but I still remember from this day because I remember how it was dark. And you know how you hear certain sounds? It just sticks with you. It just sticks with you. So I've always been into the Bigfoots and I always been into the paranormal, things you can't explain. And I always had to have a belief that everything is connected somehow through paranormal. Because when you start studying, and I've been doing YouTube channel since 2016. Now my Gypsy Road channel is about 2 years. I had other channels got taken down before. I started listening to people's stories and the paranormal stories, the UFO stories, and there just seemed like there's so many stories that are almost related to each other. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you every story is true because they're not. 90% of all stories aren't true, but those 10% stories are the ones that I want to know. 10%. Sure. Those are the true fact stories. Because when I used to have guests coming on, like the She Squatchers. Manimal Research been on and all that, and hearing their stories where they said they've been seeing orbs. You talked about it in our channel a little bit about the orbs and stuff, and there's got to be a connection because I still think to myself, why isn't there a decent? There are pictures out there, but why aren't there multiple pictures? Because you got to think that these.
I'll tell you what, it's funny that you brought this up again because. Mark over on Sawdust Beast, his guest tonight was talking about this, and he was touching on the orbs and somebody's theory on this and this device he has, and I missed it. I had to get ready for this show, and I popped down at the end and listened a little bit, but I was like, huh. So I'm going to have to go back and re-listen to figure out what the hell he was talking about. But I think it's worth checking out. I know a lot of people here were over there, and so probably saw the whole show. I missed it. But yeah, he was. I didn't. I couldn't begin to like even tell you how he was describing things. You know, like it was. But he was talking about the reasons for the orbs and I can't. I don't want to just check it out. But it's ironic that you know.
I know you're right. I do want to check.
I
it out.
just
That's
heard
why
this. I was
I
like,
do
wait a
these
minute.
shows, right? So people could share the information because it is an interesting. No, don't get me wrong. We all know 95% of the orbs are explainable, dust and all that. But there's some orbs you can't explain the color and how slow it moves. You know, for the last 2 months, we've actually done quite a few UFO shows and listened to people with different stories. And one of the things that was standing out is everybody was saying lately it's been a blue light. Now, unless everybody's been on every other show and they're hearing the blue light a lot, you know, I can't back that part up. But it's interesting now that people are saying that when they see these lights, they're blue. Does that mean something? I mean, I don't know, but you
No,
know,
I think I said yesterday. I think it was I think I told you guys. I've seen an orb, but it was a spirit orb because it was in a haunted house, and you know, I lived in this house, and yeah, I saw this orb come out of the bathroom, and it was blue, and it disappeared.
yeah.
So
What is with the
that's the only
blue
one I've
color?
ever truly seen.
And
You
you're
know,
right. You know what? I mean, that might not have been certain lights up there. That might have been orbs that were blue. You know, it's hard to determine, you know, the distance between the thing, but it seems like the blue color is a good connection. And there might be something there.
maybe Brown Dwarf says, hold on. I would get orbs every night. Jewel Rock, Southern Humboldt County. Hashtag Murder Mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brown Dwarf's up in that area, up in Northern California.
I mean, I'm always careful talking about orbs because, you know, a lot of orbs can be explained. You
Oh
know,
yeah, I'm in the middle of an investigation on something. I mean, it's on pause because I can't do the experiment or you know try to debunk it the way I want to right now because there's just too many leaves on the trees. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
um,
And it's just so cool. You know, in the last year, all these channels are popping up, and it's fantastic because everybody's popping up with these stories, which we need.
oh
Because
yeah,
you know, CNN News ain't gonna tell you the truth. Fox News ain't gonna tell you the truth. The MSBS, you know, they all find a way to sing around wackos. But when you have everybody coming up, like I said, I can't tell you. I'm not gonna say every story's true, but you know, some of it is. You know, before last year, I never even really understood skunk ape until I met Bigfoot and Nomi. It's like the famous skunk ape up in Florida. I'm like, what's a skunk ape in Florida? So I'm still learning
it's
myself.
just another name.
It's another name, and I'm like, so what's the difference between a skunk ape and a regular Bigfoot? And they're telling me like the skinnier feet. I'm like, wow, okay, that's cool. That's cool. That's interesting.
Yeah, I haven't had the pleasure. I mean, I've been in areas where they've been seen. You know, I haven't seen one yet. I'm hoping to. However, not this weekend, next weekend, the 4th and the 5th, Labor Day weekend, I am going to take a ride. I figured out I committed myself to doing it today. I'm going to go up to Tennessee to the Squatch out they're having up there with Joe Pass and Manimal Research and Old Bear's Den of Bigfoot. They're having this Squatch out, so I'm going to go up and go hang with those guys for the weekend.
Oh wow, you're going with them. That's awesome.
I'm gonna shoot up there. It's like a 9-hour drive, maybe a little longer. But that's where I need some help, guys. if you guys want to help get me there, I'm just looking at gas money. I will post the chat, the PayPal link, in the description. If you guys want to donate, feel free. Just makes things a little bit easier for me. And I plan to do recording up there and get into the woods. And I'm bringing all my equipment from, night vision to, just my normal cameras and GoPro. And I'm bringing it all. When I say, I said it last night, I think you should go into the woods with nothing in your hands. And I mean that. But my shit is for around camp. I'm not bringing shit into the woods. I'm going to set up things around camp and I'll go live, from if I get a signal, probably like Sunday, I'll go live,
I'm jealous, man.
I don't normally do like a Sunday show, but, Katie, I'm going to try if I can get some money together. I'm going to go up to Tennessee, Labor Day weekend. What's up, Jeff?
Hey guys, how are you?
All right.
We're all great. I'm just jealous of them because I want to go to Tennessee. But the week you guys picked is the last weekend of my kids going back to school on that weekend. So
yeah, I'm a little jealous.
I gotta be daddy goodies.
I'm a little jealous, but I'm gonna kick something into your PayPal, Mogs. If you go there and promise to drink a beer for me while you're there, I'll contribute.
Well, I'll have a Coke because I don't drink.
Okay, well, whatever. As long as you honor me in some way around that campfire.
Oh, yeah. Now,
just for 10 seconds is all. And
now this is cool. I'm flying to California in October. I already got plane tickets. I'm actually going for a cousin's wedding, but the wedding, we're all planning to go back to Poison Meadows where we had, that Bigfoot encounter and all that. And we're just going to go out there and camp for a couple of days. Like you said, just have a good time, have nothing, and see what happens.
I do so much research here in the field that, a lot of people, they're like, hey, I want to go to these events so I can get away from work and research. I spend a couple days a week researching here to where really, while everybody else is running around in the woods, I'll set up the audio recorder, sit around the fire, and keep the wood going in the fire while I just listen. Because I honestly believe when you have an event like that, and then you put everybody out there in the woods, that sometimes right around your campsite is where the most activity is going to be. It's their opportunity to finally express their curiosity and get close enough while everybody else seems to have moved away from it for a moment.
Let me ask you, Jeff, when you go as a big, huge group, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you think maybe in theory that the Bigfoot's out there, I know they can sense people. And when they sense there's a big party, they're really going to make sure they're not even going to be close in that area.
Well, I think a great tactic, and of course, it's hard when you get all these researchers together from all over, right? And they're all sharing. Everybody's got different ideas. Everybody's got different tactics they like. But if you can get everybody on the same page, let's say you got 30 to 50 people all camping in an area, right? And the majority of them, let's say 45 of them, are going to go out and trample through the woods at night. Rather than everybody going out in a star pattern away from the camp, it'd be cool if they all left in single file one direction and spiraled way out around in a perimeter
and
worked back to the camp.
Yeah.
And had 2 or 3 guys there with audio recorders, cameras set up away from the area. Dim everything out, turn all the lights off, just let the fire go, and let 2 people stay at the fire, just having a casual, quiet, calm conversation. And see if that would attract them in. So rather than driving everything away as everybody goes out into the woods, it almost like surround the wagons and work it back in. I think that would be an interesting tactic to try.
Well, you're basically sounding like you're like an engineer. You're going to run home base. You're going to run everything here. You're going to look for things.
I'll tell you what I am. I'm the guy that when I try to think of a new tactic or a new research technique, the first thing I look at is what doesn't work. What has been done 100 million times and hasn't produced results. So has anybody ever tried this technique before? have a little party. It's staying at a distance, but it's curious, right? I mean, it's just not leaving the area, but it's watching from a safe distance. What happens if you silently get outside of that distance and squeeze it back in? At a time where the nucleus where all the activity was is no longer taking place. I don't know that anybody's ever tried that before. You know,
Well,
I mean,
it's sort of like throwing out a cast net.
yeah, you know, the wider you can get it spread and the less of a shadow you can throw when you throw it, the more you might catch. But
there's nothing wrong trying new things, new
No.
techniques. There's nothing wrong at all. You know, I always say,
But that's,
even if
you know,
you make mistakes, you learn from your own mistakes.
You know, I had someone on not too long ago. Actually, it was shit. It was probably 9 months ago. But he said to me, he goes, why? All these people are doing the same thing, but why am I seeing what I'm seeing? I said, why not? You know, maybe you're doing just one little thing different that nobody else is doing, and you know, keep doing it. You know, but why not you? You know.
Well, you know, long before I ever got into the whole, I mean, I had my encounter back in 1987, my first encounter. Then I went a long time without really researching anything, just trying to distance from it. And then I reached a point in my life where I was attracted back to it and said, you know what? I got to get back. I'm going to get into research. I'm going to educate myself. I'm going to start trying things that people aren't trying, right? And see if I can tweak these methods and figure out, not just try something different, but try to explain why these tactics that people are using that aren't working, why aren't they working? There's a reason they aren't working. You know, if we did something that was successful and we did it 5 times in a row and it produced a successful result every time, you'd be analyzing, why is this working, right? What are we doing right? But when somebody does something 1,000 times and it's not working, and yet they keep doing it, at some point we have to intelligently look at it and say, let's not just say it doesn't work. Let's analyze what is flawed about it. What is not working about it? And can it just be changed a little bit, right? Maybe the tactic isn't completely wrong. Maybe it's just a little, something needs to be tweaked or done differently to make it go from fail to success, you know? But long before I was into Bigfoot, I was always mesmerized by the whole UFO thing, by crop circles, right? Because crop circles were something that these ornate designs, right? Like the cover of the Led Zeppelin album, you know, all this stuff, right? These ornate crop circles. So many of them had been proven hoax, but there was a whole bunch of them that they said, dude, this is not man-made. You cannot do this. This isn't just matted down. This is like compressed in a way that you just couldn't do it with friction or pressure, right? And so they realized that some of them were hoaxed, mimicking the ones that weren't hoaxed. And then you start seeing these designs out in the desert where you can't even see them until you're like in an airplane, right? I mean, way up in the air, all of a sudden you see this design.
That's like the Nazca lines.
Yeah, it's laid out over 24 miles, you know, and it's like there's no way back when it was made that anybody could have kept the bearing straight enough to do it just man-made here on Earth by rolling stuff around or whatever, you know. They had to have had an aerial reference to what they were making to make it that big in size, right? So then I started thinking, okay, if some of those ornate crop circles that look like circles with F's drawn off of them and keyholes and, you know, really weird designs, right? Imagine this. If you didn't know how to draw or write in Japanese, okay, you see something wrote in Japanese, I have no clue what it says. I don't speak that language, right? I can look at it and say, oh, that's Japanese. I recognize it's you know, that Oriental lettering, but I don't know how to read them and I don't know how to write them. But if I wrote the word hello on a piece of paper and hung it on your fridge, Mogs, and 100 people over the next year come to visit you and they read it and none of them know how to read Japanese, it just looks weird. Just like these crop circles look to us. But then all of a sudden, somebody comes over that can read Japanese, and they say, "Oh, hello," and you're like, "Is that what that says?" I didn't know, right? You realize that these circles could be a communication, okay, a word or a phrase, let's say. And the danger, what I was thinking is, just like Bigfoot, whenever somebody gets a video or a photo of a UFO, they didn't, 10 seconds prior, they had no idea they were about to see one, right? I mean, it's just like, oh my gosh, it's under pressure, it's hurried, it's blurred pictures,
Right time, right
whatever. I
place.
mean, everything's done under haste when these encounters happen, right? But what if you could do something where you expected a sighting? You did something to create an encounter to where you were prepared with stereo cameras and the best of the best technology, right?
Well, that's what you're doing, though, right?
Well, that's what I'm doing with some of my Bigfoot research. But the way I came up with that Bigfoot research and doing what I'm doing now is, originally, this was like 20 years ago, I thought, what if you went out in the desert, out in New Mexico, right? Out into the middle of the desert, and you weren't 50 miles from a lit up town. Okay. I mean, you're just out there, right? When you look at it from a satellite, it's a dark spot in the United States, right? But at night, you brought out all these generator trucks and we laid out track lighting shining straight up into the sky, into the shape of like a half mile big or a mile big recreation of one of these crop circles that we've proven aren't man-made. That design out in the desert, and you light that sumbitch up in the middle of the night, and you have your stereo cameras around. Now, if UFOs are real and they see something that is something they recognize, it's a word or a phrase or whatever that stands for. If that's legitimately made by them in that crop circle, would they not come in closer to look at that? Would they not come in close enough to get video of them trying to look at it? I mean, why wouldn't it be worth a shot, right? And that's when I started thinking about the Bigfoot research I did. What if we created this atmosphere that wasn't threatening, that just kind of made them comfortable week after week after week, to where all of a sudden, once they're there and comfortable, boom, we fire up the technology and capture them, you know? But that's kind of how it started, was with this idea of UFOs. I kind of felt like if the government was hiding something, you'd go out there with your generators, you'd lay out all the track lighting before it even got dark to where you could turn the power on. The men in black would show up and tell you it's time to go. But
It's if you don't try these off the wall things, you'll never know.
well, that's
So
the whole
it
thing. Is
can't hurt,
the
and then
UFO tactic's just something nobody's tried before, right? Whatever that design is, there isn't a person on earth that's looked at it yet that I know, that I've ever read about, that says, oh, what that means is this, right? I mean, with Bigfoot stuff, people see tree breaks and say, oh, when they're broken pointing in that way, that means walk that way. Or it means don't go beyond it. Like, everybody thinks they know this Bigfoot. Like, there's these assumptions, right? But with UFOs, nobody's even tried to guess what a crop circle is saying. Now, there's risk to it. If you light it up at night and the meaning of that is, do you want to go to war or something crazy like that? And here you're asking them that, I mean, I don't know that would. There's some
actually one of the crop circles that was out there was, the designs in it were these little triangles, like the way, and when it was compared to sound, like you can manipulate shit with sound, and certain frequencies will make different patterns. Say if you put sand on a speaker or whatever, and the creation, the one with the little triangles is actually the sound wave for you know how when people meditate they go om.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I just saw this somewhere, and supposedly that's the sound wave. Like, so people are looking into these crop circles,
Well,
and they're looking into
sonic
weird fucking
sound,
ways.
sonic sound and waves in the right frequencies can create enough energy to move objects.
Oh yeah.
It can. So the idea that these could have been compressed and created very detailed and ornately, where one stalk of corn's down and another one isn't. I mean, 3 inches apart, right?
Mm-hmm.
From a mile or two in the air using a frequency that, I mean, that's the idea, is that they didn't actually get on the ground and do something to manipulate it physically. It was done with a force that had the ability to move these stalks and these things in a way that they weren't just all broke 3 inches off the ground like they were rolled over with a barrel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We actually
The ones that are fake, they can show that's what happened, but the ones that aren't, they can't.
We did a show on crop circles on my channel. We actually did a whole 2-hour show on it, and what's amazing about some of these circles is how fast they were made. Like I said, you could almost design any circle you kind of want, but there's some circles that on camera where it was just all grass, and then in 1 hour, less than 1 hour.
Yeah, I heard
a human do that. I mean, unless you had 300 people.
I heard there was one small town in Belgium. Belgium is one of the most openly communicative countries in trying to openly explore phenomena. I mean, they don't hide it. They share it with the world. They say, we're looking for this, right? And these farmers in this rural town in Belgium had witnessed lights, multiple lights in different formations, that the morning after it, they realized this big, huge crop circle had been made. And they went out, and it's one of these ones that hadn't been proved a hoax, that it appeared to be authentically done by some force. And so over the next few months, anytime somebody reported lights in Belgium, the Belgium Air Force actually deployed their jets to chase these lights down and try to get them locked in and videoed. And they were doing this actively, and they were telling the world. I mean, you can find all these reports from like 30 years ago of the Belgium Air Force chasing down different things. They've got fighter pilots on record saying we were flying next to them, we flew over them, they flew under us, all these reports, like, and they weren't classifying anything. It was all available. But every other country was just like denying it, like, shut up, you know? Like, they didn't even want to acknowledge it, even though everybody in these countries is like, yeah, we see them too, you know? But Belgium was one that they didn't try to cover it up. And then all of a sudden, now you don't hear anything about it. So I'm sure they're on board with everybody else covering it up. But
well, they're always going to cover it up. I mean, they don't want, they want their people working. They want tax money. They don't want people to say, "Oh, their UFOs are coming, aliens are coming. I'm gonna quit work." Governments just want money to come in. It's like the United States of America government, right? UFOs are real. Well, yeah, they're unidentified flying objects. We all say that's real. But our government would never.
Why did they change it to UAPs?
That's
unidentified aerial phenomenon. What the fuck? Why would you do that? That's like changing to new math or core math or whatever. What the fuck? The old one wasn't broken.
I think it was because there came down to this deal where if we see lights, we don't know that it's an object. It could be a reflection. It could be a projection.
I said it earlier.
So that's why they started keying in on the phenomena rather than a object portrays a physical thing.
Good evening, Pearl.
Hey, Pearl.
Good evening, all. How are you?
You're looking lovely tonight.
Thank you. It's great to see you all, and nice to meet you, Gypsy Road.
Nice to meet you.
Good to see you too as well, Jeff. I think it is.
Thank you.
And I heard you earlier talking about you're getting ready for a trip, Moggs.
Mm-hmm. I just decided today to like, what the hell?
All right. Well, good.
Now I just got to get all my crap together and throw it in the car.
Well, big shout out to Connor, who's been putting out a lot of vids lately. Gotta love his enthusiasm. Just, witness the guest at Beast TV tonight. That was awesome too. And Gypsy, you're doing a great job. It's amazing. I think that you could probably make a great auctioneer as well. No, honestly, I was watching him and Connor the other night, and I thought, man, I can't. My brain. Maybe I can keep up with that a little. Maybe.
I do feel bad because me and him were supposed to do a show today, and stuff came up. I had to cancel the show today.
Yeah, I was gonna ask what was up with that. Wait a minute. Come on now. Yeah, I saw the preview with Moggs talking about he's coming on with you, and I thought, okay, well, all right. Well, we'll see the preview in a little while, maybe. And
I know.
Oh, we lost her.
Pearl,
Oh, no.
it was my fault.
That was my fault.
It's my fault.
I,
I forgot that my son had orientation today for school. So
no.
I had to take him. I had to do my part. But, I'm back on tomorrow, so, we're good.
Right on.
Okay.
So there are some people I didn't get to say hi to in chat, and I just got to throw some more shout outs to what's up, Meredith?
I can see it on my screen.
So, Pearls, where are you from?
Well, I'm way down here in South Mississippi.
Nice.
Yeah, South Mississippi.
South.
Way down here in South Mississippi. I'm a knower. I'm not a believer. I'm not necessarily a fan. I'm my own person. Paranormal experiences. I don't really belong to any group. But hey, if y'all want to pass through, I might put you up. Just ask Moggs. He's a good soul.
I actually had a little paranormal. I had a little paranormal experience in her house.
Well, now, Moggs, it's funny. I'm thinking, and I've been thinking, I've been seeing something walk past the door too, and it's driving. Yeah, and I've seen a big dog go past that walked very, very slow on all fours. He's kind of injured. He weighs about 80 pounds, but no, I know what you're talking about, and it's large. It's not a person. It's not like it's a ghost.
We were sitting at the kitchen table, and the sink was off to my left, and she was on my right. And she was standing there talking, and I'm sitting down. She's talking to this ear, and out of this ear, all of a sudden, below the sink, I hear a voice, but it was in sync with hers, but it was in a different pitch. So I was like, "Did you just hear that?"
Makes me wonder if you heard my mother.
It was weird.
She's passed. She's walked on. And it's very nice to meet you, Gypsy, and truthfully, Moggs, there's just you get desensitized to events happening, something can happen and you say, well, that's, things like that happen. It's just part of life, goes to walk past and, but when it comes to Sasquatch, I'm a knower, Gypsy. I ran one came face to face to me when I was quite young, and it's just not a forgettable experience. Some people have warm and fuzzy encounters, and it's exciting, and they like the adrenaline, rush they get in experiencing, going out squatching and knowing they're around, and then there's people like me, they find me.
You say a face to face, but didn't it knock you on your ass?
Well, that was during the daytime, and I never saw what knocked me on my rear end. off that tree platform, Moggs. It hit me hard and fast and sent me 10 foot flying backwards, landing on my rear end, on my back. And I never saw what hit me and didn't have a mark on me. And I was a kid and I was curious, and the moon was out and I wanted to smoke a cigarette. Went back out in the woods the following night, and like a dummy. And I heard, three to 5 inch trees. And I would hear a grunt, gruff growl. And I'd hear it clear back from where the tree platform was that I was knocked off the previous day. And it was, they would snap a branch and go, huh, huh, ah! And then I'd hear another, and then they'd snap another tree. And that was about at least, I don't know, 2 football fields away from where I was sitting, trapped on a bayou. Okay, a bayou canal, and moccasins behind me, and not too many places to run. And the main trail was cut off because they were coming up the fork, and that's all I could hear. And it seemed like forever coming up that trail, breaking trees. And all of a sudden it got to the main trail and it got real quiet. And I can remember being so scared that I squatted clear down to the ground, and I had doused my cigarette by then, of course. I'm knowing that I've got too much danger to jump in a canal and try and cross it, okay, behind me, and too many briars to the west of me that I might, have to run through. And I really thought I was going to die. And all of a sudden, from the main trail, I never heard another sound. They were standing, I don't know, from me to my refrigerator, 10, 12 feet away from me within the blink of an eye. Either they were an excellent acrobat, or they literally just popped in and out and landed in front of me. And they were about 8 foot tall, and it's broad shouldered, but it had canines and glowing red eyes, and the moon was out and it was above us and it was behind him. And about that time I ran through the briars, and it took over an hour or so to get home. It's an unbelievable story in that it was a patch of woods in a city. And my brothers really laughed at me when I got home. I was bloody from head to toe. And I never forgot it. And the more I listen to people's encounters, I have it, what the fascination, the more that I hear of people's encounters, the more it seemed to trigger the flashbacks, because I buried most of that as far down in me as I could get. And I don't have nightmares, but, in my 30s, I had to block it out so I could be a kid and still go camping and do what I do. And in my 30s, one popped my tent with its hand while I was camping on a favorite river, and I haven't been camping since. And everybody uses the saying, if they wanted you dead, you'd have been dead. Well, I always question, how do you know my maker didn't save my life? And tell that thing no.
For as many forces as move one way, there's as many forces that move the other. So
right. Did it pop through a portal into the woods I was standing in? Or did it make the shimmering effect of the mirage before I got slammed out of a tree stand?
What I find amazing about your encounter is, and I don't know if you'd listened to my encounter before, but it is very
Jeff,
similar.
I listened to you for almost 2.5 hours the other night.
I had a 10-foot tall, 1,200-pound Sasquatch slip onto a trail 15 feet in front of me and throw a 5-foot-long log at me and launch me 20 feet through the air.
Right.
And I never heard it. I heard it break the tree, but I stood on that trail for almost 2 or 3 minutes, which seemed like forever, because I thought I had a bear.
Okay, Jeff, and something green that is snapping that's a tree. I mean, as kids, I've gone out into the woods and I've rode trees down and twisted them around in circles to hear them, to finally pop them and snap them, just playing, you know. But
well, mine
there's
was
no
what it
mistaking
threw
that
it.
sound. Nothing I know other than that beast that was that big that was standing in front of me that day. Nothing I know can take a tree like that and just snap it in two and rip it at the same time and twist it at the same time. And you hear all the green of that wood go as it does it. That's part of my flashback.
So
It's hearing the trees snap, because I was mortified. I mean, something that can do that, you know, and I thought, well, is that a gorilla coming through the woods? You know, because the grunt, gruff, growl, it was so loud, you know. And I had already heard gorillas and apes. You know, I was a teenager. It was a grunt, gruff, growl. They were determined. They knew they were coming right for me. And I really don't know why I was zeroed in on Jeff like that.
My encounter was in Manitoba, and the tree that it broke and threw at me was a birch tree. And up in the north, birch trees, they don't have deep root systems. A bear can scratch its back against a 6-inch round birch tree that's 30, 40 foot tall and knock it over if it really put too much weight on it. So I don't find it hard to believe that something knocked this tree over. What I have a hard time believing is that a 6-inch round log, that this isn't dead wood, that it just stomped it and broke it in half, and that's the snap that I had heard. And then it picked that log up and it threw it at me.
Sheer raw force, and there's no mistaking what you're hearing. You know? Hey, come back here now, Gypsy Road.
It says device not connected, so something must.
He'll pop back. That happened to him last time.
Well, but he also said he was going to have to bounce, pick up his wife. So
yeah.
I don't know.
But no, there's so many elements to your encounter, Gypsy, that are similar to mine, and you experienced how loud they can be or how they can make their presence known, but then yet how stealthily they can slip from one area to another onto that trail. And it's like, how did you step out there? How did it get there without me hearing it?
Right. That the shimmer in the woods that day, it was like a mirage before I got knocked off that platform. And I never saw what hit me. Yeah, I got knocked silly. No, I didn't pass out. I mean, you know.
But then the other similarity is that I went 30 years burying this too. And my whole life, I've been an archery hunter. I love to bow hunt. I sit for 6 hours in the deep woods all by myself at quiet till it's dark enough that I walk out in the dark. And I've never really I don't look at any of this environment the same since my encounter. But I've never let it make me afraid to go out and do the things that I like to do. Probably where I recently in the last 5 months where I really have issues with this is I go to a research area. I was just there this morning, and I deploy items, and then I think I'd
be okay if there was someone else with me.
You see, I don't do that. I don't bring electronics into my area. I don't bring anything in. I go in every Thursday. I kayak 8.5 miles up, and then
I think you missed the point. I have not been camping alone since my tent got thumped last. And I had to stay all night knowing they were outside my tent.
You know, I understand that, but what I'm saying is I go into this area alone, right, in the dark at 5 a.m. And there was one, and I've done that week after week after week for 4 months.
I'm going to jump off, but I'll come back and jump on. I got to
All right. But about 3 weeks ago, I was walking into this area, no flashlights, no nothing, pitch dark still. I had pulled my kayak up on the river, was walking in. And when I deploy these items in this field that are meant to collect DNA, I leave them there for a window of 24 hours. And then I leave and I go back the next day and collect them and see if I've got hair samples, sebum samples, things like that. I've always wondered, do they wait 5 minutes after I leave to come out? Or do they wait till midnight? You know, I mean, I never really knew, right? I was
Are they
collecting
sitting
hair
up in the
samples.
trees? You know, are they acrobats and
Well,
gymnasts and
so what happened
portal
is
poppers? And I mean, do they have Olympics of who can knock down the most trees in the most configurations while they're popping in and out of portals while they're having a blast up in a forest? I mean,
no,
some,
but so
some
when
of
I
the
was
pictures
walking,
we've seen is just, even with Duke and a lot of other people, not just us and our encounters, Jeff, but everybody's seeing lots of signs, and there's a lot of people having encounters. Now, either they are multiplying or they're so busy popping in and out of portals that we think there's more encounters than there actually is. Which is it? Are they actually multiplying, or are they a whole bunch in number and popping in and out of
I
portals and
I believe they're a
multiplying
flesh and blood creature, and until I
other
see one walk through a
dimensions? Or,
portal, I don't believe they exist.
well, it's a pertinent question. Why not ask it?
Well, no, I'm not. I'm not saying they do. I'm not saying they do or they don't. I'm just saying I believe it's a flesh and blood creature. My point was that I was trying to say is, as I was walking through the dark into this area, knowing that they always show up, like I'm part of their routine now, right? But I
Oh
never
yeah,
really know when.
they know
And
who
as
you
I
are.
was walking through the dark in, I had one wood knock right behind me where I parked my kayak, 100 feet behind me. And I kept walking. I just forced myself to keep walking. And as I was approaching the clearing, and it's pitch dark, no flashlights, I have one wood knock in front of me. It was like one was saying, he's here. And the other one was acknowledging, saying, yeah, we see him. And that's the first time that it had hit me. These things are actually here right now. I'm all alone. It's pitch dark. And I'm 10 miles from
And
the
they're
nearest
letting
road.
each other know my location. That's right. They have my 20. That's right.
So I
Yeah.
mean that was the first time where I just felt like, I always knew they'd come and I always operate like maybe they're watching me, right? Maybe they can see me. But to be standing there in the dark after having an encounter
Once
like
the
I had,
lights are
to
out
just
and it's
feel like
almost
they're here right
bedtime, that's
now.
right. It's that 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning hour that comes along. Yeah, that's the hardest one to get through.
Well, you've also seen stuff at your house, bro. I mean,
I've had my house slapped. I mean, I had one come visit me and slap my house. I didn't appreciate it. It's like a calling card. Okay. I'd heard it, had heard it yell prior to that. You know, my son had even heard him too. I call him, but I didn't see it. It was about a quarter mile off when I heard it. But yeah, they'll find you again no matter where you are. And I I don't know what kind of communication they have, whether it's telepathic. I can't say always that, gee, they're the ones throwing off the EMFs and they're causing people to be nauseous and this and that and the other. I debate that because mankind has the same sort of tech weapons via satellite, via cell phones, via equipment to do that to other people, whether it's voice to skull, whether it's mind speak, whether it's any of that. There's it's conspiracy, but there's patents for those actual.
Yeah.
There's
I don't
patents for
know all
it.
that they're capable of, and I
Yeah,
don't know. I don't try to act like I know what they're capable of, but I do
yeah.
know one thing. I'll share a
just
little
let them
story
talk
with
for a
you.
minute.
I wonder.
I'll
Go
share a
ahead.
little story with you. I had a game camera that I put brand new batteries in. Okay, one time. This is before I was not bringing power in that area. I was trying to find other areas to research different metals, and I went out there, put it out, and went back in there. And when it was the 4 a.m. and retrieved the game camera. I was with a friend, got it and looked, and I had some pictures of some orbs on here. And I thought, man, this is really weird, because I was looking at them on my iPad I had with me. And as I powered it up and turned it on, I took the memory card out, was looking at it on my iPad, but when I powered the camera up, it went dead. And I thought, that something's wrong here. I put this camera out sometimes for a month straight and it don't go dead. It'll get 700 pictures, it don't go dead. I
And
just
that
put
same
brand new
phenomenon
batteries in the night before. So I get back and I'm
happens
talking to
a
Doug
lot of people,
Hychek.
Mog.
I'm talking to Doug Hychek, and he says, let's test the batteries. There's 8 AA batteries in here. So we put a voltmeter on all 8 batteries. Every one of them was decharged to exactly 0.37 volts. So it didn't just kill the batteries, it killed them all to the exact same level.
Yes, but I
I
question
mean, that would, the EMF that it would take to do that would have to be so precise, and it'd have to
question
cut
that
off
it
at
happened.
exactly the right spot.
I don't question that it happened. I question how it happened and who did it.
I don't
and who
know.
done it.
The only reason why I share the story is for me to say, I don't know what Bigfoot's capable of. But when somebody says, well, I think it can do this and I think it can do that, I don't speak from a matter of fact and say, yes, it can or no, it can't,
No,
because I don't claim to know that.
Yeah,
But I can
Jeff.
tell you this: if somebody says it can have the power to kill a battery, all I'm saying is I've seen it.
Yeah.
I know that.
All right, and then
how it does, I don't know.
And then be a person that was knocked off a tree platform, okay, 10 foot, doesn't have a mark on her, and damn well knows she was knocked 10 feet back in the air off a 4x8 piece of sheet of plywood, that it was at least 8 foot in the air, and no one was in the woods with her, okay? And I didn't hear any footsteps. I was watching leaves fall from the trees, and it was as if a whole mirage came over the forest where I was sitting, like a mirage, like you see when you're in the desert and you're going down a highway. Exactly like that. And I wasn't passing out. And it hit me hard. You know, something, if you're 10 foot in the air and something hits you hard enough and you're sitting Hindu style on a 4x8 sheet of plywood, okay, flat plywood, and you know, and all of a sudden you're 10 feet on your rear end away from the entire platform.
Did you hear his story?
Yeah, I did, because it's happening to a lot of people, Moggs.
Oh,
exactly.
I don't think what happened to me. I only know like 2 people that's ever happened to, that have ever claimed it happened.
Well, now Duke, you know, Duke of World Bigfoot Radio has had a lot of crazy things happen to him too, Jeff. You know, yeah, no.
And the people that go out with them.
It's hard, you know, the some of us deal with it easier than others, Jeff. With me, there's a little PTSD still involved with trying to talk about it. And I've come out of my shell this year, and I'm not so great at talking with someone who just enjoys going out and hearing and knowing they're there, and they put it in a place in their mind they cope with just fine. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm still working through that. I put it all down in me, just like Carrie puts it down in him.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can tell you that I'm glad that you don't keep it buried anymore. It's not healthy to do that. We aren't made to do that. And one of the reasons
nuts for it, Jeff, but you know, at least we're not alone.
Well, I want you to know that one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about research right now, one of the reasons why I paddle 8 miles there, 8 miles back, twice a week, trying to collect I want to get to the bottom of it. And it isn't out of just curiosity that brings me to there, right? I don't need to prove to myself that they exist. I know they do. I had a log thrown at me. I know they exist. But for people who have had an encounter that bury it out of fear that no one will believe them, that they will be judged, that they have too much to lose in their life because of how they will be perceived. For people to do that because they simply don't have anybody
It's not a
scientifically
matter of
saying they
that.
exist.
You just
So
don't forget.
I'm so
It's not
passionate
gonna
about
happen.
research because I just want to get to that point to where you don't have to be afraid to say I had this experience, because people say, well, yeah, they exist. They've proven they exist. You don't have to be afraid of being judged or being the freak who has to hide it for 30 years.
Okay,
We
but
aren't made to do that.
we exist and we know how humans mate and we know how they give birth, but we have no footage whatsoever of Sasquatch intermingling with human to be part whatever they are and part human. Okay. A lot of people overlook the fact there's just so much we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I look at, the Ketchum DNA project shows that the mother side, the mitochondrial DNA is where the human elements existed in the
Nothing
DNA
to
samples
compare
they
it
tested.
to. That just, that
Well,
roadblock. Don't you think the government knows?
That's where I disagree. When you say nothing to compare it to, what they did is in a lab when they tested those, once they ran into unknown primate, it was all done. They just stopped. And if you've heard me speak about the DNA research that me and Doug Hychek are working on, we've partnered with a world-renowned lab here in the U.S. They will test every sample we bring them for free. There's no cost for us, because these scientists are hedging their bets.
Well, when are they all?
They know this thing's going to be flipped open in the next year and a half, and they don't want to be caught with their ass out as the deniers. So we're running into more scientists who are saying they're studying this, but they aren't doing it publicly. But they're hedging their bets to get ready for this. That's why this lab in this university told us we will test every sample you bring to us. So our what we want to do is, if we get
every sample you give them.
If we get samples from Washington State, northern Minnesota, New York, South Carolina, Florida, Oklahoma, and you'd run the same tests that Ketchum ran, and you say, okay, unknown primate, let's stop. Unknown primate, let's stop. Unknown primate, let's stop. That's fine. Okay, that's what's going to happen. But hear me out. Hear me out.
Continue to study then.
But hear me out.
The renowned scientists of the world and biologists and cryptozoologists of the world.
Hear me out here, okay?
Let him talk. Let him finish what he's saying, please.
Yeah,
I
hear me
want to
out.
hear what he has to say.
When they take these samples, okay, I don't care if they're unknown. My point is this. If you have 147 samples, sebum samples, DNA samples that we bring from different parts of this country, and in the next 6 months, they nuclear and mitochondrial strip these things apart to everything technology will allow us to do. I don't care that they don't match anything. My point is, does sample 1 match sample 2? Exactly. And does sample 2 match sample 3? All the way through the 147 samples from 25 different states. If that's where we're at, we have a known creature at that point.
Exactly, because there's lots of
we're
people.
Not quitting. We're not quitting saying, let's stop looking now that it's not a mapped species. We're saying if you have 147 samples from 147 different specimens from 25 different states, and they're all identical, and they all have female DNA in the mitochondrial side, you can't deny that these are an unknown species at that point. You just can't.
That's exactly right. And the more of the field researchers that, it's hard, if a university gets behind it and they get some funding behind that, Jeff, well, then, of course, they're going to study that to the hilt, and that will get it off the ground. Because what else is it going to take the world cryptozoologist of the world, the most renowned? What's it going to take to get them off their rear ends? Because how many thousands or hundreds of thousands of people have brought this topic to the forefront? we're discussing it openly. You
Yeah.
know, it gets
Well,
under my skin
the-
sometimes to have so much and to still have the professionals in academia, you know, and those who want Darwin's theory or this connection theory or
Yeah, but you're
to
waiting,
go
like,
into their little
but
shell.
you're expecting everybody else to do it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Jeff,
quite
they're doing it.
contrary.
Yeah.
I don't think we need
What we've done
Jeremy to
is
tell it exists.
my
That
research
was
partner
unfair, Moggs, quite contraire.
Doug Hychek has gone to several universities who had the top world's labs. We looked at like 6 different universities, and we said,
Yeah.
we're producing Legend Meets Science next year. We're going to take over 100 DNA samples collected from all over North America from legitimate researchers who are collecting these things under real. I mean, we aren't just finding a hair
It
on a
doesn't
fence
get any
saying
better
test it.
than that.
I mean, okay. And we had the leading lab. And I can't say yet who the university is, but I can tell you it's legit. It is a huge university in the United States. All their scientists, all their professors came out and said, we believe that this thing is going to be proven thumbs up or thumbs down in 12 months. And if you would have asked them if it was thumbs down 5 years ago, most of them would have said yes. Now most of them are saying we believe it's going to end up thumbs up.
Oh my God!
We don't.
Who actually said that? I'd be having me a grassroots newspaper.
Well, so listen, what I'm saying here. So the university that we're looking at says scientists around the world. There are scientists working under the cover of darkness. They will not publicly admit that they are scrutinizing everything they can find when it comes to Bigfoot. And the reason why they are is because if it turns out it's real, they will not be caught on the wrong side of the fence. If at the last moment they can get on the right side of the fence, they're going to get there.
Fit their little theories that they had in the beginning. It changes history. And
well, it's not theories, though. It's not theories because the technology, the DNA technology, I'm telling you right now, every week, Doug Hychek told me every week the ability to test DNA gets about 20% better every week. That's how fast that science is changing. They didn't have the ability to do it 2 years ago.
I think the Gov has done all the DNA studies and tests. I think they know the difference in the clans and the types and the ones that mix with this, that, and the other. I can only presume that though, Jeff. But my gosh, my point is there's so many encounters. There's so many people out there looking. There's so many people with tests, and there's so many people taking evidence. There's so many people trotting to labs. There's so many people trying to prove the evidence. Okay. And when it gets covered up, and then and it's aggravating because it's worldwide encounters. Okay. And it's hard for me to believe that the world's governments doesn't have all the science in front of them.
Oh, already. It does. It does. That's why science, as it's advancing at the pace it's allowed to advance at publicly, versus the pace it's advanced at under the cover of darkness.
And they do the dog and pony show, okay, is what they do. Well, they do the dog and pony show. On both sides of the flip side of the coin, they do the dog and pony show. Okay. And it's just a little aggravating when credible people, yes, Jeff, like you and others, they've got evidence, they've got hair, they've got DNA. It's horrible to watch people work so hard and then it not be recognized, or then watch the results be tampered with.
Here's the thing. You do it on your own. You don't involve the government, and you make it undeniable. And that's what Legend Meets Science 2 is going to do. Right now, the government says, and every scientist says, that a human being cannot create infrasound.
Well, that's
wanna
what
know
everybody's doing, because
Yeah.
how else are we going to do it?
No, they're saying a human can't. Listen to what I'm saying,
No,
Pearl.
dear. I'm saying we're all trying to prove it. And if we don't band together and get the
There's
test,
nothing to prove. It is already proven. If you just listen to what
No.
I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. Everybody says they can't. Legend Meets Science 2 is going to show you a Native American Inuit.
how do you think the world will take the news?
We're going to show you a human being, and we're going to put a microphone and a camera down their throat. They volunteered to let us do this. And when this is down their throat on video, you're going to watch their voice cords as they they start singing in this Inuit way. Oh, they start doing this stuff, and we're going to show you it's possible. Right there. Nobody can deny it at that point. Legend Meets Science 2 is going to blow open the DNA factor on this. They're going to blow open an infrasound factor, and the government ain't going to be able to say you're lying because we're proving it. We're going to prove it. That's the whole point of it. Whether or not they already know, that's not the argument. Let's assume they do.
Well, then we're all part of history in the making. But okay, in just the conversation alone,
the government is like the guest when you were on last night, and Bob was talking about Dr. Wu was talking about Hitler had a project to create a super soldier. And they believed that they were using Bigfoot or Sasquatch specimens to create a super soldier. Hitler had a whole program for it. And people will say, oh, there's no way people would have known, right? Hitler was exterminating tens of thousands of Jews, and people who lived in the town a mile away didn't even know what was going on.
Jeff,
so, I mean, how can you say they wouldn't have known about that,
Jeff, my father knew about the Philadelphia experiment and the communication projects and the teleportation projects before it was highly advanced. And he was in the Army, and he let me know a few things before he left this world. But stranger, the truth is stranger than fiction at times. Yes, Jeff. And yes, there are patents, and you do your research of the paper trail on some of this, and there's a lot of proof in the pudding.
Wow.
And a lot of people are working.
Wow.
No, I'm trying to read chat, and I'm just getting annoyed.
Here's my passionate thought, Jeff. Now this is upsetting to me sometimes too, Jeff. With all the encounters, now you take not just your endeavors and the people and the groups that you're working with that are on the same page with this topic or diversified opinions of this topic, and then you take all possibly the encounter stories you've heard from just individuals, and then you take the amount of people's email inboxes that have filled in with just people who want to share their encounter. They've got to get it off their chest. It's good to be able to talk to people. If we take all the numbers of all those encounters, my God, I can't even fathom how much of populations of Sasquatch that ought to be on this earth.
Yeah, I don't know. When people ask how many do you think there are in different areas, I don't venture to guess.
Well, so when I asked, do they pop in and out of portals, or do they got an alien contract and they get beamed up in UFOs and back down?
I don't know. You've got a lot of you're trying to answer a question based on data that's not resolute. Okay, and what I mean by that is, let's say there's 10,000 registered encounters over the last 150 years. Okay. Between BFRO's thing, between Sasquatch Chronicles, every account that's recorded, if you just added them all up, let's just say the number's 10,000, okay? I'm not a fool to believe that there's 10,000 real ones. Okay. Maybe even half of them are bullshit, right? But here's the thing. That's 10,000 people who chose to record it and tell somebody about it. I believe there's probably 300,000. I believe that the number is way higher than 10,000 of people who said, I got too much to lose to tell anybody, and they didn't tell anybody.
Oh,
I think there's 20 accounts that don't get told for every one that does.
Absolutely.
I think there is.
And it's probably higher than that.
When we're trying to guess how many based on accounts, we don't even know what we have for accounts. Half the ones we know about are bullshit, and that's probably 1/10 of the ones that really exist. So I mean,
and forgive me, that was really my original point to make. We listen to so many people's encounters. We have our own to tell. We know we didn't lie about it. We know it really happened to us. And there's so many people who are credible. You know, if we added all those numbers up, you know, we need to have more meetups and barbecues where the people in chat rooms, like in Mog's chat room, and meet up, you know, at a place that, you know, if most of the people in your chat room are from a certain area, yeah, we need to start some barbecues and have some talk outs. Because do you think the more community events that we could actually get in our own communities, you know, our own small towns, we could get them to put on Sasquatch events where, yes, they're going to sell, the vendors will come in that sell Sasquatch memorabilia, but you could also have lots of speakers. Do you think the more events that we can populate around the United States and put the topic more forefront and out with the people?
I don't think it makes a difference.
Meeting each other and getting up and talking about it. Do you think that would solidify proof to the general public?
No. I'll tell you why. You're creating a safe place for people who believe it and have had encounters to come share and feel comfortable. But when you have an arena that has 2,000 people in there sharing their encounters, you got 20,000 people standing outside of it saying those people are all fucking crazy. And it'll always be like that. Until there's proof, it'll always be like that. It doesn't matter. You're creating safe places for people who have had encounters that need a place to talk about it. And that's a need. But there's always going to be 50 people who don't believe, saying those people are crazy, to every one person in there who said, I had an encounter, or my brother did, or my wife did. But I mean, they just don't believe. And they can't believe, they're not capable, because they haven't seen it. They haven't felt it. They don't know somebody that they were connected to who took them on a journey and said, this happened to me. And they said, holy shit, I believe you. They just don't, they're not connected to it.
Jeff, when I worked in Arizona, I worked at we rented ATVs or side-by-sides. So I would get customers from all over the world. And I would feel them out. Like I was the last person they dealt with. At the end of the day, their ride was over. They'd get to me, and I'd be like, "Hey, I was, good time." Blah blah blah. Well, I would check these people out. If they're wearing camouflage, or first, it's always, "Where are you from?" First question I ask them: "Where are you guys from?" Alabama, over here. You wearing camouflage? You hunter? Yeah. So let me ask you: ever see anything weird in the woods? Now, I've had people go, oh, like what? Like Bigfoot? No, that doesn't exist. That's bullshit, blah, blah, blah. And this guy is like, I've been in the woods 40 years and I haven't seen a damn thing. But in the same breath, he says, but I have a friend at work that wrote a book on it. Okay. But then there's that other person from Alabama. When I brought it up, they're like, it's funny you mentioned that. And they proceed to tell me what happened when they were 10 years old. I've seen it all. I've seen like those, but it's only those few that will, oh, I believe in that, or I think that's real, but most of them are like, no, I've never seen anything.
But we do need more gatherings where we can actually gather together. And
absolutely. And that's, right now it's not the greatest, climate to be doing it,
no, it's not. Maybe
I'm doing it anyway, though.
What
that can of worms, Moggs, okay.
I think rather than trying, one of the things that I feel comfortable doing is rather than trying to use data that we're not sure about to draw a conclusion, I just like working off generalities that make sense. And here's what makes sense to me, okay? I believe that we know there's 300 some million people in the United States. We know that about 35 million of them actively go hunting every year. Maybe more. My question is this. If 1 out of 50 people say they believe in Bigfoot because they're in the outdoors and they've seen something they can't explain, and 49 people said, I've never seen anything. Out of 40 some million people that hunt, 50 to 1, 49 to 1. That's still what? That's still 800,000 encounters right there.
Well,
That somebody has a reason to believe.
Disagree with
Something
that.
happened to them that they believed. So when we say, oh, there's 3,000 encounters in the BFR thing, if you knew how many people who believe because they have a real reason to believe, they saw something they can't explain. They heard something, they felt something they can't explain. They were married to somebody that said this happened to me, and they believe them. These people that have concrete resolution or resolute reasons to believe, there's not 3,000, there's not 10,000, there's like 1 million of them. There's like 1 million people who believe because something happened. That's not a coincidence, and that's not even a phenomena. The only reason why we call it a phenomena is we don't know all the details yet.
Well,
but we know they're there.
We haven't run across any of them mating, giving birth, and or in need of help. Okay.
I'll tell you what. How many years? Just think about this for a minute. Think about this for a minute. How many years have bears been on this planet? Because it was about 10 years ago that Doug Hychek put cameras in a bear den and actually videoed bears giving birth in hibernation. And it was the first time it was ever caught on video.
Well, we've been wanting more proof since Patty.
And it just happened 10 years ago. You know? I mean, we went centuries of recorded time about bears, and nobody ever said they'd seen one giving birth till 10 years ago. So, you know, what's been available to elude our perception this long? Probably a lot.
It wasn't on the main agenda, you know, more than anything. It probably just wasn't on the main agenda, Jeff. And there's a lot
technology wasn't there to support being able to do it. I mean,
my gosh, after you've seen something that big, you know, in the woods you didn't expect to see, your curiosity sparked. You know that wasn't necessarily a full human being. You know, they had nose, you know, they had a mouth, you know, they had hands, you know, they had feet, you know, they had very thick skin, you know, they were covered in hair. Maybe they stunk, maybe they didn't. You know, they were powerful, you know, they were strong. And other than that, what do we know? They live in communities and clans. They're being studied. It's aggravating to me that the world won't jump on the bandwagon.
Well, even that statement, people will disagree with.
That go out and study them. It's aggravating that the world professionals won't put a large money grant behind it. And study it.
I'll tell you what, the most arguments that exist about this creature exist amongst us believers. It does. You just said they exist in families and clans, right? I think for the most part they do. But listen.
I believe some of my friends have really studied them in clans. Yes, I do.
I understand that, but let me explain something.
I believe they have paranormal abilities as well.
Let me just explain something about the clans, okay? And I'm not saying this as a fact. I'm not saying I know it one way or the other.
Researcher, and I'm not going to be ripped apart like I'm one either. I'm just a fan.
No. No,
chatter. I'm just
I
Pearl.
totally get
I
that.
just walked in to say
I'm just
peace. love,
presenting. I'm
hi,
presenting
I love
two
you,
sides of it.
Mom.
I'm just presenting two sides of it, Pearl. Okay, that's all I'm doing. Because I believe you. I
Yeah,
believe
but
what you
it's
say. I believe.
needed.
Hold on and let me explain
Yeah.
here. I believe that they probably exist in clans and groups. I do. I also believe that there will be an alpha male that will control that clan. And juvenile males, when they get old enough, will sometimes be ran out of that group. And
Well, I
that will
believe the
account.
apples
Hold
know
on.
how to pop
Hold
in and
on.
out portals.
Hold on. That will account for individual sightings a lot of times. It's no different than mountain lions. There's an alpha male, and the males that get displaced and ran out and found in areas they're not supposed to
Right.
be
I can
are
have 4
juvenile
deer
males.
in my yard and tell somebody, you see that deer in my yard, and they've never seen a deer in their life, and all they saw was the brown bushes and trees and never saw that pretty doe walk by. That's right.
What does that have to do with what I was just saying about groups and clans? I'm saying that there is an explanation of why one could exist outside of a group. That's all I'm saying. Otherwise, I believe they're probably in groups. But my point is, even amongst us believers, we don't agree on hardly anything. Because we all have our own theories and we all have our own ideas.
Peace despite disagreements and debates. There's got to be peace.
Well, no, there's got to be proof.
There's
there doesn't. What there need.
We've seen them. We know. We believe they exist. How they exist, how they move around, how they give birth, how they actually function. We don't have all those answers.
What there needs to believe rather than peace is there needs to stop being people claiming stuff to be facts when we don't know that they're facts.
True.
We need everybody to say, I don't know if it's this or I don't know if it's that when it comes to this part of the subject. I don't know either way, but I lean this way or that way.
Jeff, you just have at it.
All right, it's time to break the fighting up.
I
gotta change.
Tell you what, I regret if this was perceived as a fight. I never meant that. Okay.
No.
I never meant that.
I'm reading chat and people think it's like.
I thought I was doing pretty well trying to tell Pearl that I'm not saying that's wrong. I actually believe in the group theory, but let me tell you why there's people amongst us believers that don't see it that way. I'm just presenting how a lot of the friction is in our own community.
Diversified opinions are going to happen.
All right, guys, I'm bringing someone on, so I need you guys to shut the fuck up.
I'm going to pop off. I'm going to pop off and watch as a silent observer.
Say hi to StevieB. Oh, Pearl, you were supposed to stick around.
Oh, where'd she go?
She got mad at me because I just said shut the fuck up.
Oh, no. Oh, I thought that was funny.
Pearl, come back.
Hi.
Hey, Stevie.
I was waiting for them just to be quiet, and they wouldn't shut up.
How are you feeling?
Like, oh, wow. I'm doing okay. I'm actually doing
I'm really glad to hear that. I've seen so many people in chat week after week after week.
Yes.
Just praying for you and lifting you up.
And look at chat now.
Come back on. I wasn't trying to insult you. I just wanted to shut you guys up so I could get her on.
Hi, everybody. Mr. Lee. How you doing? No, that's why I want to come on too. I just kind of want to get it on here for a minute and tell everybody thank you. Look, let me get my camera right here. Sorry.
Well, I'm going to let you have half the screen and not a third of it. I got to run.
I didn't want
but I'm glad to see you, and I'm glad that you're here.
You.
Jeff, thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate the chance. I actually didn't mean to be on this one.
Oh no, dude, it's all good. I didn't mean. I know Pearl got insulted just now. I was just being funny.
Well, I don't know if she was insulted. I felt like at the end when she kind of felt a little bit, and I didn't mean for that.
Pearl, did you hear me? I wasn't being insulting.
No,
I just wanted to bring Stevie on. I figured Pearl would want to say hi, so and then she left as soon as I brought her on. So
I didn't want her to go.
If she doesn't come back on, we're all going to travel down there and have a camp out in their backyard.
She says, I'm praying, StevieB. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. I didn't want you to go, Pearl, but I get it. But
No,
no, I
that was
wanted
my
to come.
fault.
I wanted
I
to
was
come on and thank everybody because it's. Look, I'm trying to get through it without tearing up here, choking up. So many people have reached out to me, and there's been so much support and prayer and thoughts, and it's just words can't even say. Thank you. Just thank you, everybody. Really, I'm doing great. I am. I'm doing good. It is what
Yes,
it
you
is.
look
I'm getting
great. You
through
look great.
it. Yeah, kind of clean myself up a little bit. I feel like a human again for once. So
Well,
yeah, it's
I'm
cool.
I'm I'm for one proud of you. You know, the attitude, the strides you're taking to, you're facing this head on and you're facing it like a champ.
It's
You know,
Yeah,
inspiring. I think it's inspiring to a lot of people.
you can something like this happens, and I damn sure wasn't expecting it. I kind of knew towards getting here to this point that it was going to happen, so I had a little bit of time to kind of adjust to the idea of this is going to be my new life, the new me. You can take it, and I could sit there and self-pity and
sure.
depression and cry all day. Trust me, I did my share of crying. Done, got it out of my system. Now it's let me start my new life.
Move
I'm
forward.
anxious, new
See,
feet.
I get
you
on
know
her. I get on her every day. I'm like, did you do your exercises? I said,
He
don't just
does.
sit around.
Gonna
Well,
be
no,
the
she was
In a
accountability
good way.
factor.
positive for COVID.
It's not a bad thing. No, it's motivational to me. I mean, you've been there for me big time. I mean, big time. And it's helped me out a lot. It gets me going and kicks me in the ass a little bit when my whole body's aching. I'm working my ass off trying to build up my strength and get back into shape. And it's not easy. None of this is easy, but
No,
it's day to day, get through the day. And I don't know if everybody knew, but I tested positive for COVID, asymptomatic. Not, I don't want to say I don't have a sniffle because I sound congested right now, but I haven't had any signs or symptoms of it at all. Matter of fact, they told me Saturday I should be able to get tested again. If it's negative, then I'm out of quarantine. I'm in rehab right now. Everything's kind of at a standstill, but I'm making the best of it. I got a PT therapist comes in. Shit, today was 3 times today. I was
kicked your
probably a
ass.
good 4.5 hours of just working out. I mean, straight up working out. They can't bring any equipment in, so we're using furniture in my room. I'm in this room. If you, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you guys a little bit. If you can kind of see, it looks like a half like college dorm, but a hospital room. I mean, it's really nice facility. It's absolutely nice. But they can't bring in any equipment because I got COVID, so they don't want to contaminate anything. I'm assigned to one nurse. I'm isolated. Thank God for the internet. I watch everybody's shows when I'm not dozing off and catching up on my rest. But yeah, it's I'm getting there, and hopefully, if everything works out well, next week I'll be home. I'll be home, and then the week after they'll start fitting me for my prosthetics. It's fast. It's good though. I'm doing all right. Ready to get back at it.
You look good.
Thank you. I feel good. I actually do. I feel really good. I thought I'd surprise you. Pop on. Yeah.
Physical rehab, Annette. Oh,
Yeah.
Annette. I'm sorry,
I
Annette.
should
You
have
have no idea.
clarified that, right?
No. Well, she doesn't know.
Yeah, it's a 2-week intensive program for I'm a double amputee now, and there's people on this floor that have spinal injuries, brain injuries. There's all different traumatic injuries, and it's an intensive therapy for people like myself that are physically capable of going through at least 3 hours of working out and just going at it all day, building up a body strength, learning how to transfer from bed to wheelchair to bathroom, just getting in and out of they have a car in the gym. It's a car where I can learn how to get in and out of the seat, and just the full on kitchen facility so I can cook. I mean, everything in life, everyday life, I'm getting back at it. They're teaching me slowly, but
It's an experience like that puts a real vision right in your face of you hear things that are so cliche throughout life, like there's always somebody who has it worse than you and this and that,
oh
right?
yeah.
And then you sit there, and I'm sure you probably went through it at first. Like, you're just feeling really down and everything. And then you get these visuals of somebody with a spinal injury
Right.
and what they're dealing with. And you start realizing, holy shit, I actually got it pretty good compared to that. And
You're
you start
absolutely right.
realizing what your blessings are in the midst of
Quickly.
a tragedy.
Yes, quickly,
Yeah, and
very
you
quickly.
didn't, but you didn't take any time to feel
No,
sorry
and that
for
was the thing. They
yourself.
didn't let me,
And
and that was what was
no, and
huge, that they didn't let me take the time to feel sorry for myself. It was,
I
as soon as I
I
woke up
told
from
Chad,
surgery, it was agonizing pain, but they're, the next morning, they have me up on the side of the bed, learning how to get into a wheelchair. It was no joke. It was no time to think about it. I mean, I did, I had to reflect on it, of course, but
sure.
nothing in a negative way. And I have to say, the people in this facility and that have been around me in the hospital, the nurses, first off, completely unappreciated with this whole COVID thing. These people are saints. What they have to deal with, I've got a whole new perspective in that, and respect, ultimate respect in them. But they've been nothing but good to me. Everybody's been helpful. I had one day, what was it, the day before yesterday, I think, where I was just in a shitty mood.
Yeah.
I was just,
Grumpy bitch.
I was so frustrated. But when I get like that, I get quiet, and all the nurses and the techs and everybody that would have any interaction with me that day, they're like, "What's wrong? What's wrong? What's going on?" And it was like kind of pissing me off even more, because it was like, "Stop, just
Stop
let me.
asking me that.
I got one day. I just wanted one day to be a bitch. I'm allowed." And my version of that is just being quiet and not, just not. It wasn't that I
Roll your
wasn't.
eyes a little more.
Yeah, and under my breath, and I was kind of being resistant a little bit, because I was sore. I mean, my body's aching. I'm using muscles that I didn't even know I had, or forgot about years ago. I mean, it's all good though. But these people here have been great, and that's a big part of it too. Just having that positive energy, and
Absolutely.
I think what people in chat are really gonna get out of being able to see you here tonight, though, is that every night Mose is on, he's saying, "Oh, I talked to Stevie. She
I
says
hear
hi,
him. I'm
this and that," and
watching
you're
most
here
of the time.
watching it, right?
Yeah.
And people see you here, and they can say something and chat to you, but we
Yep.
just don't get that. Like when there's like, "Oh, Stevie, she's feeling good, she's in good spirits, this and that."
Yep.
It just don't. It's just hard to imagine. But then when you see
Same.
you here, it's
Yeah.
like,
And
wow, you know what
yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
It's just a blessing to have you here, so that people can actually
A
say,
blessing to be here.
"Oh,
Because
I'm
trust me,
feeling. I can
I
feel
almost
that
wasn't.
she's feeling
You know?
good."
Right. It's a blessing to be here. I almost wasn't. I mean, I was very sick when I came in here. I had 4 blood transfusions within 3 days. The first 3 days I was in the hospital before they could even do surgery. That's what I was going to.
Wow.
And then, well, actually 3, and then one after. I had one after because my hemoglobin went up a little bit, and then it dropped. So then they're thinking I have a bleed internal somewhere. So they're rushing me off to all these tests. So I've been through the ringer a bit. But
So how's the hemoglobin now?
Yeah,
I
I was gonna
just,
say.
I kind of complained a little bit this morning because they did my lab work at like 5 in the morning. They woke me up, and they didn't check. That wasn't on the orders. I was like, what the hell? So they're supposed to come by at 2, actually. 2 in the morning, they're coming to draw more blood, and they're going to check for the hemoglobin. But my last count was up to 8.9. 11 is normal range, so I'm getting there. Definitely no
I
more
think Iron
transfusion.
Dogger, when she went into the hospital, her count was 2.
Yeah, see, she was worse than me, and
Crazy.
I mean, I can't imagine that's what she went through. I mean, I love that woman. I swear, she inspires the hell out of me. I mean, just everything that she's been
Never
through,
give up.
still going through, done, accomplished, amazing. And you mentioned it on one of your shows. My appreciation, and thank you for that, because that was cool. You worded it perfect, because I love at the end of every one of her videos, which I watch all of them, by the way. She always puts on there, "Don't give up," and that's meaningful to me. That I like seeing that. I need to see that sometimes, because there's many times where I'm just like, fuck it all. I can't say that, but that's the mood I might be in. And then I see her acting silly and having a good time and living her life and being out there, and it's inspiring. Definitely.
It's funny that when some people will say, "Well, do you ever really get down, or do you ever feel like giving up? Really, the answer is I can't give up. That's not even a choice, right?
It's not an option.
It's not an option.
Really not. It's not in my DNA. First off, this is another challenge for me. It is a huge challenge, but it's doable. I can see it.
So can you draw us a little picture of what this looks like now? So
okay, so
you might get tested again here right away in a couple of days and find out that you're off of the COVID part, right? So that you can maybe start using regular rehab equipment.
So I can leave my room. I can finally leave my room.
But what's the transition like? What's it looking like over 30 days? I mean, do they have projections for when you might be able to?
They are projecting that within 4 weeks of my return home, which is, I'm scheduled to go home on the 1st, which is Wednesday. This coming Wednesday, I'm out of here on the 1st. I'm done my physical therapy. So when I get home, that next following week, someone will come to the house. They'll start fitting. Well, they'll cast me first. See, they have to get the mold for my prosthetic. I met a guy from the company, the actual company that's going to be creating my prosthetics, and he's an amputee. I saw him coming off the elevator, and I was like, I didn't want to gawk and stare, but it caught my attention. And I was like, wow, that looks pretty cool. I was a little bit excited because it looked comfortable. He was walking. If I didn't see the prosthetic sticking out from his shoe part, like his ankle, I would have never known. He didn't have a limp. He didn't have that, what you're used to thinking and seeing, on TV of that wobble or, side hip movement or nothing. No, he just walked right off the elevator and came up to the counter and started talking to the guy. And next thing you know, they're both looking at me. I'm sitting there fixing a cup of coffee and I'm like, hello, like, hey, it's obvious, that I'm an amputee. I'm sitting there in my wheelchair as I'm making my coffee. He comes over, his name's Albert, and greatest guy in the world. He works for the company, but he volunteers, goes around the hospitals and talks to people like myself that have just had the surgery, that are just going through it. And I think he wasn't expecting me to be, the personality that I have. And, we hit it off.
Oh, no, I didn't do
that. Yeah. No, the personality that I have, he wasn't expecting me at all. So we hit it off and sat there and talked for almost an hour. And he was able to take apart his prosthetic, and they're hydraulic, and the ankles move, and it's full on movement. And he was explaining how there's, different sleeves and for different, like activities during the day. If he's going to be out hiking, say, there's a sleeve for that. It's, I guess, like low, medium, high activity, so if he's just gonna be laying around the house or whatever, or walking around the house cooking dinner, there's one for that,
So they're hydraulic, but they're battery operated.
Yeah. Well, no,
because we joked
joked about it, and then I went back and I actually looked into it because I wanted you're the one that got my cue. We were laughing our ass off because that whole running off the battery thing. But no, it's mechanical. It's just the hydraulic. It's almost like power steering in that concept of a vehicle. So if the battery drains, then it's a little tougher, but you could still, fully function.
In the middle of nowhere.
Shit. Oh, I died. I laughed after we stopped talking. I was still cracking up.
No, I told these guys, like, the one day I said, you guys would like unsub if you knew the conversation that you and I had.
They probably think I'm off my rocker. I mean,
no,
cool shirt, by the way.
Listen, I let you lead the conversation and I followed, and you wanted to go there. I said, okay.
I never noticed that, and when I heard you say that on your show that night, and I'm like, son of a bitch, he did. I mean, I kind of thought back to that conversation we had.
Yeah,
the very first one. Yeah.
I just let you, set the mood, set the tone, and then, But yeah, we were fucking. What did I say? I said, "Shit, girl, we got to get together before there's nothing left."
I said, well, hey, I literally lost 20, 30 pounds overnight. What a hell of a diet, right?
So much for shoe shopping.
I still mess with everybody and ask them, can somebody please tell me how tall I am now? I'm like, how tall am I? I have no idea. I was 5'10". What does that make me now? Like, and I just looking at the people's face, and I just like die. I crack up laughing. I've actually started making videos asking people that question. So I've got like this little journal that I've been keeping every day. I'll show it to you once I
It's
get
not
it
just
all
me,
together.
guys. You know, she's got a warped sense of humor.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, you have to. You know, like I said,
But it's
what's the
great that
alternative?
you can
know?
do that. You know, some people would still never laugh again.
Oh God, no. I
You
know.
know,
And you know, I actually see it here. And I have some of the nurses talk to me and they open up to me. You know, they tell me, and I'm like their least worry, you know, so especially since I have COVID. They come in maybe 2 in the morning and then again at 6 in the morning. They don't bother me. They get everything done all in one shot. So they don't have to come back in here. But they have so many other patients that they're completely overwhelmed with. And they'll come in here and sit and hide out and talk for a little bit, which is cool because, you know, I'm in here by myself. So, you know,
sure.
conversation's welcome. But the stuff that they go through and just how overwhelmed all of them, just the medical staff, the hospital that I left where I had the surgery, I they had on my floor, it was 7 to 1, 7 patients to 1 nurse. And that was every night, 12-hour shift of that
Yeah.
shit. And they're begging them to work extra shifts because they're that short-handed. So you've got people that have worked, you know, 6, 7 days straight. You know what I mean? I mean, 12 hours a day, 7 patients. It's kind of scary because how do you keep up with that? With everybody's individual needs and medications and treatments and, you know, order
Well,
doctor's
in
orders. And
situations like that, well, the medications and treatments, that's all routine. They
it
know that.
is,
Yeah,
but
now.
I've
Okay.
seen, I've seen mistakes and, you know,
Oh, you told me about that.
yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's not. I can't fault them at all, not at all. I mean, honestly, but I did learn a lesson of I'm paying attention to everything. You know,
Yeah, well,
that was early on, but
what she's referring to is she almost got the wrong medication.
yeah, yep.
And it's good she looked in the cup and was like, these aren't
What is
mine.
that? I'm like, that's not mine. I was like, I didn't recognize not one that was in there, and there was 4 or 5 pills in there. I'm like, that doesn't. I'm like, did they order something new for me? And the nurse was like, "Oh my God, this is the next room." You know, it's like, oh, okay, yeah. And what happens to the patients? The elderly that aren't able to pay attention to something like that. You know, someone that may not be conscious. You know, that's what I was thinking, and it's kind of not their fault. They're just so overwhelmed. You know, it's crazy,
It's a shame. And
and that's everywhere. That's everywhere right now. You know, you hear it on the news, and I'll be honest, I was one of those that doubted this whole COVID thing and, you know, the severity of it. You know, it's just, it made you wonder because you hear about it, then you don't hear about it, but you can't appreciate it until you're actually in the hospital and you're seeing it firsthand. You see it from the outside, but you don't see what these people actually deal with behind these
sure,
doors. And
sure.
nobody talks about it. You don't hear about it on the news. You hear, oh, we thank our nurses, we thank our medical, you know, everybody thanks everybody, but no one really shines a light on what the hell they're all going. They're saints. To me, they're saints. I applaud each and every one. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. No way.
Well,
A
it
lot.
takes a special
Oh,
person to do what they do. You know?
absolutely. Absolutely. And then you get the
So
ones,
if you're in,
that just don't, you know, they just go with the flow and they're not really, you know, the special ones, if you want to say.
just go through the
I,
motions.
I actually had one. I think it was like the third night that I was after the surgery. So it was over the weekend. It was the weekend staff, of course. And I actually had the lead nurse said, you know, you can fire your nurse. You can demand another nurse. And I was like, oh. I'm like, really? She said, oh yeah. She said, you know, it happens to everybody. She said, you know, if I'm like, I don't want to offend anybody, but don't send her back in here, please. Please don't send her. And that was actually the one with the medicine. Now that I think about it, that was the one with the meds because that was the first mistake she made. Some other stuff happened later on in the night that by the second or third time, I was like, no, you got to go. You got to go. Don't send her back in here again. She's going to kill me. You know?
That's scary.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And you know, the part that I couldn't get past was that she was like really mouthy, argumentative. And I'm like, you're not here to argue with me. I could be in the worst mood, in the worst god awful pain, wailing my eyes out, and you're sitting here being shitty because you don't like what I'm saying. It's your job to kind of not take this stuff personal. I'm not addressing it to you. I don't remember. It was something I said that it jokingly, and she took offense to it and was like, really, yeah. She was talking back, and I'm like, she said, "What? I'm not allowed to say anything." I'm like, "No, you're not. You're not supposed to." You know. So that's when the other nurse got involved, and she's like, "You know, you can fire her." I was like, "Right on,
See ya.
gone. She gone. Bye, Felicia."
Yeah, I'm so glad to see. I'm glad you popped on. I saw you, and then you disappeared. I was like, shit.
Well, you know, they were
That's why
going
I'm
at
like,
it.
one
They were
minute.
right in the middle of going at it, and all of a sudden I got this massive echo. So I was hearing like 5, 6 different voices. It was bad enough just the two of them going at it. And I was trying to listen because it
That's
was intriguing. Their
schizophrenia, right?
conversation was very intriguing. But I started getting all the echo, and I'm like, whoa. So I had to back out and come back on again. That's all that was. But then I
Yeah,
couldn't figure
and
out how to
again,
get back
Pearl,
on.
we love you. We weren't. I wasn't trying to, insult anybody. You know
No, you're just being you. You tell me that all the
that.
time. What I
I think
call
they
you
come to
earlier,
expect it
fucker.
by now.
What did I call you earlier,
Well, no,
fucker?
it's everybody's like, oh, Moses isn't saying shit. Moses is being quiet. Moses needs to do this.
I
Quit
saw that, and
micromanaging the show.
that's when I made up my mind to jump on because I started seeing everybody, and then I think it was Dan Stanton. He said something about bringing Iron Dog on to play
Yeah,
referee.
referee. I saw it, and I
Yeah,
typed out a few comments, but I didn't send them.
hadn't gotten in the chat yet, and I was like, "All right, I'm gonna jump on them." You know, I'm just, not to play referee or anything, but I just figured I'd throw a wrench in it, and
Absolutely, and I saw it, and I was like, "Good girl."
yeah. I saw you wave, and I saw you say,
They
"Wait a
wouldn't.
minute," and
Yeah,
I was just cracking up.
I was trying to get them to. Okay, guys, I need you to just chill for a minute and
They weren't hearing you.
go.
They were in it. They were in it. I mean, it was a great conversation. It was a
Yeah.
lot. It was a lot at once.
No, you know what? I enjoyed it.
Yeah, always,
just
always.
except sometimes you got to let the other person speak.
Yeah,
Give them a chance. I know people get passionate about it, and
yeah.
but
That's a good word. Passionate. Very passionate about
indeed.
it.
So yeah, what are we at? Jeez, it's been 2 hours
Wow.
already. Holy
Yeah.
shit!
I waited to the end too. I figured. Well, I
Well,
mean, you had I'm sorry, I forgot his name. The guest you had on first. I wanted to hear a story.
oh, that's Eric. That's Gypsy
Yeah,
Road.
Eric. That's it, Eric. I wanted to hear a story, and I didn't want to interrupt that, so I just kind of stayed back and waited, and then picked my moment to jump in. But thank you for having me. And again, thank you everybody in chat, everybody out there that's reached out and been so kind and thoughtful, and it's helped. It honestly to God has helped. It has. I never thought that, I would be in the position to have such an outpouring or need. It's a need. You need that as a human, and we need that positive reinforcement. And everybody's been there for me, and it's just been I can't like I said, I probably sound stupid, but thank you.
No, you're not. You're
Thank
not.
you,
You're not.
everybody. I just can't find the words to
Everybody
thank
cares.
everybody,
Everybody loves Stevie. So
Yeah,
it's.
I seen that, and it's amazing. It really is. Thank you. You too. Thank you too. You've
You're
been there for
welcome.
me big time, I appreciate you. You know that.
Appreciate you too. I know that. But I'm going to end this show. But hang out backstage. We'll
Okay.
talk. We'll talk in a
All
minute.
right. Bye, everybody. Good to see you all. I'm watching. I'm always there. I'm always listening. If I don't make the live, I watch it soon after, as soon as I wake up. But thanks again. You guys take care.
Thanks, Stevie.
All right.
Well, guys, thank you so much. I know, the arguing and whatever. I think it's just heated conversation. That's the way I look at it. So I just shut up and sit back and, let it go. Is what it is. But thanks, guys, for showing up, and everybody, my moderators, thank you. If you enjoyed the show, guys, hit that like, down there. And if you're new, subscribe. It's, you never know what you're going to get here. Again, I'm going to throw it out there. I'm hoping to get to Tennessee next weekend for Joe's Squatch Out. And Joe, I saw what you posted. He said something to the effect of, I'm going to give up my seat to Mogs at the meet and greet. Don't be silly. Don't be silly. So yeah, if you guys want to contribute to the show, I'm going to bring the show to Tennessee, hopefully. And I might go live on Sunday. I'm going to bring whatever I can do. Hopefully we'll get a signal. But I'll be here on Tuesday. Iron Dogger will be with me, and we'll talk about it then. But I'm going to put my PayPal link in the description below. You guys feel like contributing? It's up to you. You know how I feel about this. I hate asking anybody for shit. But yeah, that's my plan, is to head up there in a week. I'm probably going to go up and meet Joe up there on Friday. I know he's going up on Friday, so I'd like to get the most out of a weekend. So I'd rather spend 3 nights camping than 2. So, all right, guys. Thank you very much. You guys have an awesome night. I know it's late. 1 o'clock in the morning. Sheesh. Thank you to everybody that came on. Gypsy Road, Pearl, Jeff, thank you. You guys make the show. Everybody in chat makes the show. So thank you. And it was good to see Stevie, and thanks for all the outpouring prayers and well wishes for her. I know she appreciates it. I'll see you guys on Tuesday. I'll see you before then, but you won't see me. Does that make sense? I'll see you guys in chat somewhere. But have a great weekend. And peace and God bless, guys.